This is lesson 8.6, day 2, which is just going to be a continuation of finding slope. So just a couple review problems. The first one says to define slope. So slope is a measure of a steepness or of the steepness of a line. Slope can be found a couple of ways. We can use rise over run. We can also use that formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then letter B says name the 4 kinds of slope. So there's 4 different types of slope. First is a positive slope. So a positive slope is a diagonal line going in a positive direction. A negative slope is a diagonal line going in a negative direction. An undefined slope is a vertical line. And then a zero slope is a horizontal line. So those are our 4 different kinds. So just a couple review problems. Finding the slope. So remember, slope can be found using rise over run. When we're given a graph, we use rise over run. So in this graph, they don't really give us 2 points, so we can just choose any 2 we want. So let's say I choose this point here and this point here. So my rise is how far up I have to go. In this case, I have to go up 1, 2, 3. So my rise is 3. I'm going up 3, positive 3. My run, well, I'm not going left or right, so it's going to be 0. When we have a 0 on the bottom, it automatically becomes an undefined slope. For number 2, again, we're using rise over run. We're picking 2 points here. I'll pick these 2. My rise is how far up or down I have to go. So now I don't have to go up or down, so I'm doing 0. And then my run, well, to get from one point to another, we have to go 1, 2. So my run is 2. Now we have 0 over 2. When there's a 0 on top, it is a 0 slope. So a 0 on the top is a 0 slope. 0 on the bottom is undefined. Okay, number 3, it says, what is the slope of the line shown in the graph? When we're given a graph, again, I think the easiest way to do this is to use rise over run. Doesn't matter which point we start with. Let's say I'm starting with this top point. So my rise is how far up or down I have to go. So I have to go down to get to the other point. So it's going to be a negative number. I'm going to count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I went down 7, so my rise is negative 7. My run is how far left or right I have to go. Well, in this case, I have to go left, so I know it's going to be negative, and then I count that out as 1, 2, 3. So my run is negative 3. And now with slope, we just have to simplify. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction, as 7 over 3, improper, that's okay. But a negative over a negative is a positive. So this does turn into 7 over 3. And then I leave it just like that. Number 4, we're finding the slope again. So this doesn't give us 2 points, so we just have to choose 2 points that cross an ordered pair nicely. So I'm going to choose 2 points that land kind of in that little plus sign area. And then from here, I'm going to again use rise over run because I'm given a graph. So I'm going to start with this bottom point. My rise, I have to go up 1. So that's going to be a positive 1. And then my run is how far left or right I have to go. I have to go to the right 2. Since I'm going to the right, it's positive, so it's going to be positive 2. So now I have my slope of 1/2. And then these last few are finding the slope with points. So when you're given a graph, use rise over run. It's definitely the easiest. When you're given 2 points, you're going to use this formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I'm just going to go through and I'm going to label these first points as x1, y1, x2, y2. And just as a review, we know that an ordered pair is written as x and y. Change that so it doesn't look like an x. And then since we have 2 separate points, that's why we do that little sub 1 and sub 2, so that we can it helps us keep track of them. Then I'm just going to plug them in. So y2 minus y1. Well, my y2 is 3 and my y1 is 5. So I'm going to take 3 minus 5. And then x2 minus x1. My x2 is 3 and my x1 is negative 1. So I'm going to take 3 minus negative 1. And then I'm going to simplify. 3 minus 5 is going to give me negative 2. And then 3 minus negative 1 turns into plus. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So my slope is negative 2 over 4. We always simplify our slope. Negative 2 over 4 simplifies down to negative 1/2. And there's our slope. For this next problem, again, I'm going to label these as x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I'm going to plug them into that same exact formula. So y2 is negative 2, so I'm going to start with that. Minus y1 is 1. Over x2 is 7, x1 is 7. So 7 minus 7. And then I'm going to simplify that. Negative 2 minus 1, we can add up, and we get negative 3. Over 7 minus 7 is 0. Remember, when we have a 0 on the bottom, it automatically becomes an undefined slope. So the answer for this one is undefined. For the next one, again, I'm going to label as x1, y1, x2, y2. Helps me keep track of things. And then I'm just going to plug them in. So y2 is negative 3. So we have negative 3 minus, and then y1 is negative 3 again. And then on the bottom, x2 is 5. x1 is negative 2. So we have 5 minus negative 2. And then we just need to simplify. Negative 3 minus negative 3, those become both positive, so the top becomes 0. And then the bottom, 5, those become plus. 5 plus 2 is 7. We have a 0 on the top,